Watch and burn.
Hey everyone, so tonight or today or this evening again, it's 8:30 p.m. So tonight I am going to be discussing Vangelis' Oceanic. Now this is a record that at this point I've listened to, I can't tell you how many times, and no matter how many times I listen to it, it's never going to be a record that I love. There's something about it, it's too, I don't know, it lacks the punch that I found that his other records from the 90s, especially considering that, as far as I'm concerned, the 90s were sort of his brightest sounding decade. I found the 70s were his most moody, the 80s were the most atmospheric, and the 90s were his most shimmering releases. Like, everything Vangelis released throughout the course of the 90s seemed to have a sparkle at play somewhere in there. There's something, like I said, there's something very clean and something very shiny about each record and each track contained on each record. And whereas I would argue that on Oceanic, that the songs on there are certainly no exception, and this record does have a certain amount of shine and a sort of like a white light brilliance to them, I just don't like this record. I never have. The only song on here that I absolutely love is Song of the Seas. I wish that more of the tracks on here sounded like Song of the Seas. Spanish Harbor came close, but I was disappointed with Spanish Harbor because by this point, Vangelis had pretty much all but abandoned traditional percussion. He was an amazing drummer, and he drummed live for many, many years, but he would eventually move into electronic drum programming, which of course does suit his aesthetic very well, but I do miss like the live drum aspect of his earlier releases, and I felt that with a track like Spanish Harbor, the electronic drum programming subtracted from the track's impact. And like I said, other than Song of the Seas, I found this record is kind of short. I know that technically that's not true. These songs are just as long and they're just as well layered and textured as anything Vangelis had ever done. But I find that this record just sort of like, and it's gone. Like, it's there 1 minute and then it's gone the next. And I just don't like it. I never have. I will say I do really like the cover art. It reminds me of Matthew Barney's The Cremaster Cycle. Now I think those women on the cover are supposed to be mermaids, perhaps. I'm not actually 100% about that one way or another. I think they're supposed to be mermaids. Either that or they're in some type of swimming class somewhere. But I don't... some jackass saw me over there and they decided to try and turn on their bland sounding radio hip-hop garbage as if it was going to stop me from doing this. And you have to understand, where I live in Curtis, people don't really behave like that. People here are really nice and kind of quaint. And so for these two gangsters to play their bland sounding garbage loudly, it did nothing to detract me. It didn't stop me at all. The girl made some half-assed gang sign at me, and it was like something or other. They were both white, of course, which makes it so much more embarrassing. So much more embarrassing. Because, oh, white people trying to be black, it's just like the fucking cringiest thing ever. But that's not what we're here to discuss. We're not discussing people acting inappropriately. We're discussing a record from Vangelis that I never loved, and that was Oceanic. I'm not going to keep retreading here. I just don't love this record. I do like the artwork. It reminds me of Matthew Barney's Cremaster Cycle again. And I do love Songs of the Seas, But other than that, Spanish Harbor wasn't bad. Aquatic Dance, Memories of Blue were okay. But this record just comes and goes. Doesn't seem to have any real lasting impact for me. And that's disappointing because I want to love this record. So I think I'm going to go. So thank you so much for hanging out with me for a few minutes while I discuss Vangelis' I believe 1996 album, Oceanic. If you liked this review, like always, don't forget to do something nice for somebody. And yeah, I'll talk to you guys soon. Have a good night. I just wanted to say thank you for making it through the entire video. I really appreciate it. And I'm going to remind everyone one more time, even though I've probably already done this in the video that you just watched, to please click the like button as well as the subscribe button because it helps this channel grow. And thank you for hitting like and subscribe, and we will see you guys really soon.